was going to talk about the chemistry, and that is a chemistry discussion.
It is a chemistry discussion.
It is, but can I add something else first?
Please.
I think the challenge that all of us face is pretty clear. It's this popularity that you were just speaking about, Emily. With what we've accomplished in doTERRA, knowing what we know, which is unique to doTERRA.
Yes.
It's really easy to say that you do something. It's really easy to say that, well, we have that too.
The last slogan I saw, which is just this weekend, was, our oils are the same quality of doTERRA's. We just provide them cheaper because we don't have any middlemen. So let's talk about that.
Okay, let's talk about it. I didn't want to, but let's talk about it. Yeah, here we go.
It fired me up a bit.
So I think you would be wrong to think we don't know anybody who says that they're an essential oil supplier. We know everything about this market as a whole.
We go direct.
And
in fact,
so,
99% of our oils are exclusive only to us. No one else can even have access to them.
Well, this goes back to what I said a few minutes ago, that even small variations create huge differences in terms of outcomes. So let's say even if it was a good quality essential oil, it may not have the same outcomes. But we know from being in the marketplace, and I know who you're talking about, and I'm just going to say it real directly. We've tested those oils, and we know what the quality of those oils are. You do get what you pay for, and it's easy to say, just like doTERRA or our oils are as good or better than doTERRA. Those are easy statements to say, but I want you to think about what you know about doTERRA. And for maybe those of you who don't belong to doTERRA, I want you to understand who we believe ourselves to be and how we conduct ourselves. There is nobody who goes to the extensive work that we do to ensure quality and efficacy, and I'll add a third one, safety with the essential oils. It's not
purity
something
being the foremost, right? That comes first before everything else.
Emily, how long has our company existed?
15 years.
15 years, soon to be in our 16th year, not too much further into the future.
Yes.
That's an exciting point to be at in doTERRA. When we started doTERRA, we had this extreme desire to produce essential oils differently than how they existed in the marketplace.
Yes.
Nobody can refute that. The oils were not what they were supposed to be.
No, we were frustrated. You and I had worked in the essential oil world for many years before doTERRA. We became frustrated, and that they were not what they claimed to be.
We also
could not find purity in the marketplace anywhere.
We also now have spent all of these years, 15 years, you've said it well, I wish we knew everything.
Yes.
But I look at what we do now versus what we did then, and you have to think of this as a linear progression. You can't compare the two moments in time.
Right.
It was our pursuit of what's pure, and has been this entire time, and still remains that way today. It is erroneous to think that any company could begin where we are right now.
No.
It's impossible. And I've grown tired of people saying, just like doTERRA. It's flattering. Thank you for the
compliments. We're glad we're the gold standard everyone holds themselves to, but it's not true.
You and I, and this is where I was going, you and I have to be more discerning than that.
So what happens? Let's say someone picks up a frankincense from, the mall or from a hardware store, online, and they're saying, they say 100% pure. They never say, be careful, I'm adulterated, or I'm actually Boswellia serrata, which is a very, very low quality frankincense. We only use the best frankincense species and quality. What is the dangers? Let's say you're just inhaling that, Dr. Hill. What are the dangers of using something that has been adulterated or is low quality?
I think there's I'm just going to take some of this. Thank you. Any chance I have to steal Emily's oils, I'm doing it.
Absolutely.
For me, Emily, this kind of comes down to a practical and really basic understanding of health and sciences and how those interact and mingle with one another. we know a lot now, as you talked about pharmacokinetics and epigenetics and some of the things that we're involved in. So we do know pathway.
Yes.
And we do know what happens. I'm going to use Copaiba actually as a good example of this. And I won't call out the company because I don't think we need to, but they claim to be a strong competitor.
Yes.
When we were looking at Copaiba, and we do this all the time, we're not just interested in quality, we're interested in what's the outcomes that it's going to produce.
Absolutely.
But here's a good example of where just a small variation.
Okay.
Our oil is 100% pure, and so we did some of you might remember
it comes from an oleo resin from the trees in the Amazon.
That's right.
You and I have been there together.
One of the favorite things I've ever done is go to the Amazon and see all of that firsthand. And
it's his favorite thing because he went on the trip with me.
I did want to push her out of the boat one time and just watch the piranhas have a heyday, but it was okay. It was really a special trip.
It really was.
I mean, we got to really get deep into the jungle and in its most raw form of where these resins are coming from. We know the quality that we have and that we demand, and we're incessant about testing and retesting and going through that process.
Absolutely.
So we did all of the pharmacokinetics, and we know the pathway associated with our Copaiba.
Right.
We took one of our competitors' oils who make the exact same claim, the most pure, the most powerful in the world, and it actually was pro-inflammatory in the body because of some of the adulteration. And this is the problem. Right. This is the
pro-inflammatory. Did you catch that? Because this is right when you're
while
talking...
at the same time making claims that it isn't. Now, I'm not trying to berate other companies, but this is why I'm saying...
But this is the difference.
You have to put your trust somewhere. Trust your own experience, and if you don't believe what we're telling you is true, come see us. We'll show you.
Yes.
But then maybe you don't care, and that's a hard thing to say, and I'm not being unkind. But you've got to become discerning in what we're doing, because an oil that's adulterated, best case scenario is it's just not going to have the effect that you're looking for.
Yep.
Worst case scenario, like in the example I shared, it's going to be pro-inflammatory, and the very thing you're using it for and believing that it's going to help you with actually becomes the thing that you're stimulating in the body, and it now is just doing harm and damage. Right. And so it's not just about quality, it's not just about the efficacy, it's also about the safety. And you have to be willing to do the work to do all three of those things. And I'm proud, Emily. I had this conversation with somebody earlier. I was talking with them about leadership, and that there's a principle in leadership that you have to become immovable. Now, sometimes when people hear that, they think it means, oh, you can't change, you just got to be the same. It's not what I'm referring to. Immovable in your beliefs, in your core concepts, your integrity, and what you believe, those and values. How you're going to conduct yourself through your values.
And we defined that when we first had that conversation at that Italian restaurant 16 years ago.
We spent...
What were our values?
It was several hours we spent talking about this is what has to be different. What did we want to stand for? What did we want to stand for?
Yes.
So I take issue, and I hope that you do too, when other companies enter into the marketplace, because oils is the fun thing to do now, and they enter into the marketplace and say that, and we're just as good as doTERRA without having done any of the work, any of the expertise or knowledge. They don't know what's in their bottle.
So if you take an adulterated or low quality frankincense, so we know through emerging research, we know that our frankincense is neuroprotective. We know that it's protecting multiple different types of cells. And so what happens, right, with our cells, and correct me if I say this wrong.
I will. Right? Believe me, I will.
Right, is our cells are making copies of themselves constantly. So you think about a copy machine, right? You take a document and you make copy after copy after copy. And eventually, right, that copy is going to fade. Maybe you won't be able to see it as clearly. Maybe you're copying down something that you've said, and eventually, right, your handwriting gets a little sloppy, or you might miss words or misspell something. And it's not exactly as the original. that can become a problem because it can have a very different meaning. So our cells are the same, right? We make copies after copies of ourselves, but if the message isn't clear, if it gets distorted in some way, and now we make copies of that, we have some problems.
Well, the body has some built-in protection to prevent that from happening. And that happens not every cell will replicate in the body is another important thing.
Sure.
But you're not wrong in what you're saying.
Yep.
And there's a lot that goes into it in terms of telomeres and genetic expression and other things that are involved in that process that you're describing. But there's truth in that we have faulty reproduction of our cells, or we have genetic miscoding within our cells, any number of different things. And
so if you've got an adulterated frankincense that you're using, what's that doing? What's that?
Well, we already know
what
that
signals are being sent.
We already know cell signaling becomes disrupted,
yes.
or we send the wrong cell signal.
Right.
And this is one of the things I love about...
You're disrupting endocrine systems. I mean, all sorts of things that can happen, causing mayhem in the body.
Well, think back to your early days in high school and science, and maybe even junior high.
I don't know if I want to think back to those days.
Cells make up systems, and systems, or
Yes.
tissues, and tissues make up organs, and organs make up systems. So we are having this broad spectrum effect within the body. But
Right.
this is one of the things I love about frankincense is we know that there's a tremendous amount of research that's been done. And one of the things that we've learned is that frankincense is supporting of the cells within the body. So
Right.
how is it doing that? Well,
Yes.
here's the other thing that we now know about frankincense and other oils is that they have specific cell targets.
Yes.
So we
Based
know
on their
that
chemistry, because the chemistry is unique to every essential oil.
you've got